Well, good morning. Welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living Tahoe-Truckee Sunday morning celebration service, both in the sanctuary here and online. It's Mother's Day, and so we've got some wonderful things happening here, and I hope you all are having some great things happening at home with your own families. But I am Rev Pam Brandman, the senior minister here at the center, and it's my joy to welcome you here. Whoever you are and wherever you are on your spiritual journey, you are welcome here. We know that there are many paths to God, but they all end in oneness and in love. We're grateful that each of you is here with us today, whether you're here in the sanctuary or online. So we start our morning by remembering that our center's purpose is love. Our vision is embracing all and serving with love while awakening to the one. We have our receptivity statement next, and if you would join me in reading it along together. I am here by divine appointment. Something I am about to hear applies to my life. I am open, receptive, and willing to explore the possibilities. Our musician today is Angelika Schafer. This morning we are merging our celebrations of Mother's Day with a talk about the fear factor, faith, and love. Angelika is a musician whose inspiration and repertoire fit right into the mystical understanding of the Divine Mother and universal love. It's my pleasure to welcome this morning's musician, Angelika Schafer.
Thank you. Thank you so much, everyone. It's really an honor to be with you. And the first song is more meditative, and it's called It Is Well With My Soul. And this is the version by Bethel Music. Oh, one more thing I wanted to say about this song. It was written in 18-something by Schafer was his name. And he had lost everything. He had lost his family at sea, and he lost his business, his house burned. So he experienced this, and from that state of losing everything he loved, he wrote this song. So it has really a deep meaning for me personally, and you can feel the power in the song making that statement. When the earth has quaked before, moved by the sound of his voice, seas that are shaken and stirred can be calmed and parted for my regard. And through it all, my eyes are on you. And through it all, it is well. And through it all, my eyes are on you. And it is well with me. Far be it for me to not believe, even when my eyes can't see. And this mountain that's in front of me will be thrown into the midst of the sea. And through it all, my eyes are on you. And through it all, it is well. And through it all, my eyes are on you. And it is well, it is well. So let go, my soul, and trust in Him. The waves and wind still know So let go, my soul, and trust in her. The waves and winds still know her name. So let go, my soul, and trust in her. The waves and winds still know her name. The waves and winds still know her name. It is well with my soul. It is well with my soul. It is well with my soul. It is well. It is well with my soul. With my soul. And through it all, my eyes are on you. And through it all, it is well. And through it all, my eyes are on you. And it is well with me.
It is well with my soul. And that wonderful feeling of putting our trust in the Divine Mother, the Divine Father, the one God. This is a wonderful part of today. And Angelika has some other wonderful songs planned as well. Now it's my pleasure to introduce our practitioner of the day, Michael Brandman. And throughout his life, Michael has focused his vision and his faith on universal spirit as his infinite and always reliable source of good in his life. Becoming a practitioner now allows him to share that faith with others. So please help me welcome Michael Brandman to provide this morning's special reading and invocation.
Thank you, everybody. All right, I have a very special reading today, selected by Rev Pam for me, and it's just perfect. It's from Living the Science of Mind, many essays prepared by Ernest Holmes, and this one appears on beginning of page 361. The quickest and most effective method to get rid of fear is to quiet and lift up the whole thought in confidence and faith to something bigger than we are. It is like going from a cold, dark room into the sunshine and just sitting there, letting the rays of sun penetrate the whole being with warmth and color until the darkness and the dampness are gone. So it is with the life of prayer and faith, of affirmative meditation, and of communion with the Divine Spirit, which is closer to us than our very breath. Let us not forget that if fear is contagious, faith is doubly so. How wonderful it is to realize that we can do so influence our environment, that everyone who steps into it will be benefited. If this is what we are doing, the very stars and their courses will conspire to aid us. And we may be certain of something else. There is at the center of our being a strong fortress of faith, placed there by a power greater than we are, by an intelligence that knows everything, and forevermore held in the place by divine presence, which is God in us. It is to this indwelling God that we must turn. So how would it be if we worked out a method of doing this? To begin with, you might follow a few simple rules. First of all, you are filled with fears that do not harbor them as a great secret in your life, but find some close friend or confidant to whom you may unburden your whole soul. This will release the tension which your fears have built up in your body. Just to talk with a calm, confident person who can point out the reason why you need not entertain these fears is a great relief. This is, however, but a temporary thing, for next you must learn to face the fears. You should not be afraid to analyze them and should explain to yourself just why you should know there's nothing to be afraid of. Whenever you find yourself brooding over some fear or entertaining some anxiety, begin at once to do something about it. And the next thing to do is to convince yourself that you would not be here where there is not a power greater than you are that put you here. And learn to have confidence in this power. Never be afraid to say to this power and this divine presence, I now lay down all my fears and doubts and anxieties. I pass them back into the great and perfect life of which I know I am a part. Confess your fears to yourself before this power, and then reach just a little higher in faith that you were in fear and you will discover a miracle taking place. Fears will begin to recede until finally they appear as a speck on the horizon of your mind, and then they seem to walk over that horizon and disappear entirely, like darkness running from the light. And so, let's take this into thought and prayer on this Mother's Day, knowing that love is everywhere, peace is everywhere, and that we are one with God, one in peace and love, here in our community, in our spiritual community, and in the world. I know this peace and love for everyone, and especially today for all the mothers, mothers in likeness, mothers in spirit, mothers in peace, for all there is love and peace. I'm so grateful for this presence, grateful for being here today, grateful for being in this beautiful natural environment that we all live. And I release my word into the law, knowing that love and peace are here now and forever. And we say together, and so it is. And I will now introduce Angelika again, right? Not the other thing we're going to do together. And so, thank you, Angelika.
So this song I want to share with you is, I call it Forever, and it came to me in the middle of the night, one night in the spring of 2019, and it talks about just what is true. And so let's celebrate with this song what is true in us. In the light of truth, all things are one. Opposites dissolve What was lost can come home again to ourselves, to what we always were, as if we never left, but much more aware of the beauty, more aware of the love, and this dance of creation, this dance into life, more aware of the beauty, more aware of the love, and this dance of creation, the dance into life, and back home again, forever in the arms of love, forever safe and secure, forever we are always here, forever in the arms of love, forever we are always here, forever in the heart of love. In the heart of love.
Ever in the heart of love. I think that defines a mother, don't you? Right. So this morning, on Mother's Day, we've got a special reading, a poem that I'd like to start with, and I'm going to invite Michael Brandman up to help me with this. And I'm going to let you do the honors with the
Oh, yes.
candle. All right. So, happy Mother's Day. So today we proclaim our support and celebrate all aspects of motherhood as we light this candle, symbolizing our love of mothers, all mothers, and sacred mothering in the world.
My turn. To those who gave birth this year to their first child, we celebrate with you.
All right. We're on the podium, Mike. Great. To those who lost a child this year, we mourn with you.
To those who are in the trenches with little ones every day and wear the badge of food stains, we appreciate you.
To those who experience loss through miscarriage, failed adoptions, or running away, we mourn with you.
To those who walk the hard path of infertility, fraught with pokes, prods, tears, and disappointment, we walk with you. Forgive us when we say foolish things. We don't mean to make it harder than it is.
To those who are foster moms, mentor moms, and spiritual moms, we need you.
To those who have warm and close relationships with your children, we celebrate you.
To those who have disappointment, heartache, and distance with your children, we sit with you.
To those who lost their mothers this year, we grieve with you.
To those who experienced abuse at the hands of your own mother, we acknowledge your experience.
To those who lived through driving tests, medical tests, and the overall testing of motherhood, we are better for having you in our midst.
To those who are single and long to be mothering your own children, we stand in possibility with you.
To those who step-parent, we walk with you on these complex paths.
To those who lavish love on grandchildren, enjoy.
To those who envision lavishing love on grandchildren, yet that dream is not to be, we grieve with you.
To those who have emptier nests this year, we grieve and rejoice with you.
To those who place children up for adoption, we commend you for your selflessness and remember how you hold that child in your heart.
To those mothers who identify as LGBTQ, lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, or queer, we support you.
To those who mother and nurture animals that feel like children, we understand that love too.
To those who are pregnant with new life, both expected and surprising, we appreciate you and anticipate with you.
And for the people of Ukraine, to the mothers who didn't get to hug their sons, who had, who had only hours to join the brigade of your young conscripts.
And to the mothers who did not get to kiss their daughters goodbye, when those daughters escaped with, while they could, with their own children, a suitcase and a knapsack to get on the overcrowded train to take them to, quote, safety in a country far away.
And to the mothers from Ukraine and Russia who will not welcome their sons and daughters home again.
This Mother's Day, wherever you are, we walk with you. Mothering is not for the faint of heart, and we have real warriors in our midst.
We remember you and honor you, all of you. Oh, thank you. May this Mother's Day be yours.
And let us take a moment of silent reflection on the mothering in our life experiences. Thank you, Michael.
Okay, welcome.
So we all have a relationship with our mother, right? And listening to this poem honoring the mothers, I know instinctively that motherhood is not for the fearful, right? We have to overcome our fears in many ways, and we do that for our children because we know that it allows us to rise above what we might not do for ourselves sometimes, we will do for our children. Even so, when I realized earlier this week that today would be Mother's Day, I began wondering how that topic, the fear factor, ties into a mother's love. Who chose this topic? Fear, otherwise known as false evidence appearing real, seemed disconnected from those warm, loving feelings of motherly love and gratitude that we typically associate with Mother's Day. Now, even syrupy sweet sometimes, right? But the wheels of my mind were spinning without any traction. Do I change the topic? Do I forget about Mother's Day? That option felt ungrateful and uncaring, particularly since I am a mother myself. How could I reconcile Mother's Day with the fear factor? So one night this week I had trouble sleeping, and my thoughts were racing as I ruminated about all the things that were going on in my life. It was a very distressing week with lots of incidents. And so between myself and loved ones, there was car troubles, there were projects that just would not come to an end, and relationship issues, financial issues. Everything was going on at once. My worst fears kept increasing, my visions of how everything could get even worse, right? How could I stop those thoughts so I could go back to sleep? I had a lot to do in the morning. And as I prayed for an answer, that still small voice of spirit gently suggested that I surrender. Surrender? Give up and surrender as a victim in despair? No, Spirit replied. Surrender into the power and presence of the divine. The thoughts paused for a moment, and I remembered to let go and let God take over. Tomorrow was to be a new day. For now, I could surrender into the loving arms of the infinite invisible. It felt like relaxing into my mother's arms. In the Bible, in Isaiah 66:13, the Bible quotes God as saying, "As a mother comforts her children, so will I comfort you." You know, we all have that archetypical image of a mother rocking a baby in her arms, you know. And here I was safe and loved completely. My fears dissolved, replaced by that absolute faith in the power and the presence of God, of the divine. All was well, and I drifted off into blissful sleep. In the morning, I awakened, refreshed and renewed. Somehow, Spirit had hit the reset button during the night. And so I set off on a new day full of love and joy, divine guidance, and positive expectations. Thank you, Divine Mother. I began my new day living without fear. I could handle all of these things with God. And how do we learn to do that? How do we learn to live with the fear factor? You know, we're trained to embody fear in a myriad of ways. We've all heard that in an infant, there are two natural fears, falling and loud noises that startle them. All the other fears are learned. Well, I wanted to, when I was doing my research, I discovered that the latest scientific research indicates that infants may actually have no instinctive fears. None at all. In a 2019 development psychology article called Fear in Infancy, Lessons from Snakes, Spiders, Heights, and Strangers, the two researchers, Vanessa LeBeau and Karen Adolph, documented their findings that all fears appear to be emergent, meaning that infants learn to perceive their environments and respond based on experiences as their brains develop. Right? As an example, when babies approach a drop-off, how do they respond? You know, they come to the edge and will they fall off? Well, don't worry. When the researchers did all their experiments, they didn't actually put the babies at risk. You know, they used plexiglass to cover over the gap where you would come up to the edge and then go into a drop-off. So the baby really wouldn't drop. They would just see it that way. You know, or maybe they used harnesses or something like that. So the babies weren't never really at risk, but they wouldn't necessarily know that. So as they watched the infants, as they approached the drop-off, they wanted to see how they would navigate across the drop-off. So they would put the gap here, and then their caregivers or their mothers were there, that they had to walk across this drop-off to get to their caregiver. So what happened? So for infants that could walk, they would try out new strategies. Like they would switch to a safer position that they knew, and they would lie on their stomachs and crawl down backwards down the slope. But they wanted to get to their mother. Or maybe they would sit down and slide down on their bottoms, right? They couldn't quite make it walking. They would find a way to get there, but they were using their mind. They didn't deal with it as fear that would make them stop. It would make them hesitate and think through a new way. But their mind was developing and looking on the problem. Responding to strangers was another issue. You know, the initial response that they found was that there was an increased heart rate. And so in the past, maybe that had been interpreted as fear, but no. That's the same response that they had with any curiosity activation. As they were reacting to a new stimulus, a new toy, it was the same response. Their brain was engaged, that prefrontal cortex started working, right? Now, one phenomena that they did document was that babies were even more courageous and curious when to investigate a stranger when they were in the arms of their mother. All right? That comfort and courage that they had from being with their mother meant that they could handle anything, right? So it increased their courage. And we're really that way with our Divine Mother when we are in the arms of God, and when we let go and let God. When we feel safe, we are more likely to proceed with courage rather than triggering that amygdala automatic response of fight, flight, or freeze, that we know so well. Right? Now, as Michael talked about in the reading this morning, fear is contagious. It's a learned response. Right? Now, Ernest Holmes, in Living the Science of Mind, he tells a story about a man named John Smith, and he was getting on he was going on his way to work in the morning, and he was feeling it was a great day. He was full of confidence. He was singing a great song, and just, this is going to be a wonderful day. And he got on the streetcar. Now, this is an Ernest Holmes story when there's a streetcar. But he sat down next to a man that was filled with fear and anxiety. And during the ride to work on the streetcar, John Smith's feeling changed. And by the end, when he got off, he was in the grip of a terrible anxiety that he couldn't explain. Right? It was like he had caught fear in the same way we would catch a cold from someone, with the germ of fear. Right? Fear is contagious. Now, in the Bible, in Micah 7:6, it says, "A man's enemies are those of his own household." And what does that mean? Ernest Holmes explains it. Our real enemies are our fears and phobias, our doubts and uncertainties, our anxieties, and our inner conflicts. So it's that inner place where those fears start. It's our response, how we interpret what's going on in the world. Now, babies also learn fear when they sense stress in their mother or their father. And rather than approaching the unknown with trust, with curiosity, and their problem-solving abilities, which is the way they start out, they learn that something unknown is to be feared or avoided. All right? We learn to fear. Parents teach us not to run out into the street. That's a good thing. They teach us also to fear strangers, or maybe people of different races. They teach us to fear lack of money or not enough food. How do we respond? What we call race consciousness, or the collective consciousness of all humans who have ever lived on this planet, that is the default consciousness that we catch up to, just like John Smith caught the fear and anxiety on the streetcar. That is what we tune into, of what all of humankind fears. We adopt the same fears as we grow up. But that's not the truth, right? That is just what people have played out in the world. How do we deal with this fear factor and keep it from holding us back? There are some useful fears, like when you hear a rattlesnake's rattle going on, we want to proceed with caution for ourselves and for our two-legged and four-legged companions. And we've learned not to put our finger in the fire to avoid getting burned. Maybe we learned it, or we watched somebody get burned themselves. But we can't protect ourselves from all our fears, right? If we never take any risks, our world would be very small. That comfort zone would keep us really in a tight little circle, and it would be the same for the rest of our lives. In fact, we would not even live the life that we're here to live, right? Fear is the antithesis of faith. It is faith that fear is the faith that the bad things are going to happen, for sure. But that's not true. Ernest Holmes says in the Science of Mind textbook, fear is the antithesis of faith, but like faith, fear may be conscious or subjective. And if it is to be eliminated, it must be removed both consciously and subjectively. So we both need to think about what we're actually thinking about, and then we have those fears that are underneath that we don't even necessarily know that are there. They've been implanted so deep. In the May issue of the Science of Mind magazine, Reverend Dr. Edward Villieu, our spiritual leader, has a great column called "Something New Wants to Emerge." And he says, the birth of anything new is generally preceded by pain and messiness. Have you ever prayed for a do-over, a second chance, a clean slate, only to have it happen, and then find yourself confronted with a curious combination of exhilaration and terror at the same time? Whenever we want to grow, we must go beyond our comfort zone and face our fears. We know that, and you know that what I'm talking about is true if you've ever moved to a new city, started a new job, or particularly started your own business, or even tried to keep your business going. Right? Maybe you started a new relationship, even starting a big project like a home remodel. Dr. Edwards says, before we can enjoy the newness and benefits of these great adventures, we must leave our comfort zone. We must first contend with that destruction and disorder that happens if you're doing a home remodel, if you're tearing out the old walls and your old appliances in the kitchen, and you can't cook anymore. You've got it, you're cooking, over your camp stove or at the neighbor's house or something like that. But then you install the new appliances, you install the new walls, you pick the new colors. This one, oh, I like this one, let's change that one. So it's a process that's always takes much longer than you think it should. But it's a process, and that's how we move forward. If we never face our fears, we will simply stay where we are, limited by our smallness and by our old, aging world that wears out, and we have probably outgrown. Now, there's 3 steps to moving beyond the fear factor that were shared by Michael in this morning's reading from Ernest Holmes. Step 1 is to share the fear with someone else, diffuse it. Step 2 is to face fear, do something about it. And step 3, shift to living your life in faith and love. Both are more powerful than any fear. So step 1, share the fear. Amazing thing about fear is that it causes more fear. We think about the fear, and then we get worried about what's going to happen about this, and as we try to deal with it, all those insecurities that we don't even know we have, they just come to the surface to be healed. And that's part of moving forward. And when we're fearful and doubtful, we can sure make up some great explanations of what we don't understand. And a lot of them are just false evidence appearing real. It's something we invented, right? And these false explanations become new fears that continue to multiply, and we start creating mountains out of the molehills just because we don't know, right? Michelle Obama writes about this in her book Becoming. She says, failure is a feeling long before it becomes an actual result. It's vulnerability that breeds with self-doubt and then is escalated, often deliberately, by fear. Right? Other people can push those fears on us and really nurture them to their advantage rather than ours. So we want to listen to that voice within. Now, fear really can be debilitating. I don't want to minimize this issue in any way. If we're afraid, we never try anything new. But worse yet, people have been known to experience amnesia and even forgetting their own name just to forget a traumatic experience, something that brings fear to them whenever they want to go out of that comfort zone. People won't want to leave their house, right? And so it can really be something that really does limit us in very strong, palpable ways. But let's go back to how we move through those fears. So step 1 is to share the fear with a close friend or confidant. When we keep anything secret, it sustains and builds the fear, right? And finding a safe place to unburden your soul relieves that building tension. Rather than just pushing, you're trying to keep it within and keep it pressed down. And the more you try to press it down, the more it wants to come out because it wants to be healed. So we sort through our emotions, fear and all the other emotions, because it's trying to come out to be healed. All the actual facts of the situation, we need to investigate. What is real and what is a false fear? What is threatening because it's a real danger instead of just being something unknown? In cognitive behavioral therapy, also known as CBT, one technique to deal with anxiety is the therapist helps the patient to identify what the worst case scenario might be and then develop a reasonable approach to deal with that worst case scenario. So since the actual outcome will actually most likely be much more favorable than that worst outcome, then they have the confidence to proceed and move forward. They can handle whatever comes forward, even if it is the worst case. Charles Fillmore talks about, in his book called Prosperity, he says, "There is no lack of anything anywhere in reality. The only lack is the fear of lack in the mind of man. We do not need to overcome any lack, but we must overcome the fear of lack." So we all know that when we have difficult economic times, there are people that struggle and there are people that succeed. What's the difference? For all of us, it is that God within that is giving us the guidance that we can always follow. Have you ever noticed the effect of being with someone who is calm, poised, and unafraid? You know, it really helps us calm down and really sort through what's real and what's not, and let those fears be released. A story I always remember is, you all probably remember the comic story of Charlie Brown in the newspaper, you know, the big, colorful one, and always great stories to read, whether you're a child or an adult. And we would laugh over it, everyone in our family except for my mother. And my mother never liked Charlie Brown, and my sister would go, "Mom, this is Charlie Brown. Don't you think that's funny?" And she would say, "No. My question is, where are their mothers?" Right? And when you think about it, where are they? You know, a lot of these problems that would not have been there if they had their mothers. And so my mother thought that it was a really important role for her to be a sounding board for her children. And I can remember coming home from school more than once, many times, and rattling on for an hour about whatever happened, and she listened. She was a practitioner. She wasn't a practitioner yet, but she was learning. And so it was that sounding board that let me talk it through, that gave me a way to decide whether this was true or this was not, or to come up with the answer myself rather than just being in fear and stuck. I could think it through. Now, the second step, facing our fear, is when we do something about it, right? It's great to diffuse the fears, but that relief is only temporary. We have to actually do something to face our fears and move on in our life. We don't want to move forward recklessly, right? But intelligently, with forethought, all right? The fear has made us pause, and now what are we going to do? Galen Gingrich, in the book The Way of Gratitude, A New Spirituality for Today, says, "When I care to be powerful, to use my strength in the service of my vision, then it becomes less and less important whether I am afraid." Now, Susan Jeffers simplified this to say, fear the fear and do it anyway, right? It says that she invented that phrase. I heard it a long time ago, but she has a wealth of books and online resources about how to do that. And I think, but it's a theme that's in common in many people. Nelson Mandela had a version. He said, "Courage is not the absence of fear. It's inspiring others to move beyond it," right? So fear is part of life, but how do we respond? As an example, one of the most difficult places to face our fears is when we start a new relationship. We have all of these questions, you know, who is this person really? I see. What are they going to be like in tomorrow or in a year or 5 years, right? But equally important are, who am I really? What do I want really? What do I not want really? Right? We need to know all of that to put it in perspective. Will the negative experiences of my past relationships repeat themselves? Or my past experiences with this person repeat themselves? Will I just attract the same person with a new face? It's always a catch-22 in sometimes. And how do I distinguish between wishful thinking and all of these perfect dreams of Cinderella and Prince Charming that we're taught in childhood, and instead build a solid relationship with a real person, two real people, us and them, with mutual respect, love, acceptance, and understanding, right? It takes a lot of love and patience to do that, right? You know, as a mother, new mothers, they learn that they're not going to break their baby, their worst fear. But it is going to take a lot of love and patience and focus to raise this child. It's really an act of love and growth. The other side of fear is how the mother and the father can assist a child to develop prudent caution without being fearful or paralyzed by fear, to be willing to be curious, as they say in the Viking commercials, to be curious. And another, there's some great ideas about parenting in Colleen Akiko's article in this week's newsletter on parenting and dealing with fear in children, as there are every week. There's some great ideas. So this brings us to the third step, faith and love. You know, the final and most effective step to move through our fears, to deal with that fear factor, is to replace our fears with faith and confidence. And where are we to find that faith and confidence? You know, it might be from the collective conscious of the world, but not reliably. You know, there we see success and heroes and heroines, like mothers who have overcome all kinds of odds. But we also see failure and victims and manipulation, right? Will we find it from our own experience? Well, when we believe in our success, we experience success. In the Bible, it says, to whomever has, much is given, right? And so people get a lot of what they see about themselves, but these are self-fulfilling expectations. What if our expectations are negative, small, and limiting? You know, what if we have never gone beyond our comfort zone, our known world? How could we experience something greater? We're going to stay right where we are, perhaps, right? Now, Ernest Holmes says in his book, Living Without Fear, from time immemorial, it has been almost instinctive for man, when confronted with fear, to turn to what he has considered a power greater than himself. And Carolyn Myss says it quite passionately. She says, surrendering your problems in faith to the divine is not crazy. It's cosmic liberation. So set your soul free. Pray like you have nothing to lose except your fear. Right? Winston Churchill, we have nothing to lose but fear itself. Right? So where we find a faith stronger than all our fears is when we discover that spiritual truth that we are now and always have been and always will be an individualized expression of God, of that self-givingness of spirit. The universe has given all of itself to become you. Right? You are a creation of spirit from itself. Nothing has been withheld at all. You are created with unconditional love. You are supported every day, every moment, in every situation with unconditional love and infinite wisdom. There is nothing for God to be afraid of because everything is a part of God. Our fears recede. The rivers part. And we can move forward when we recognize that power of God, the power and presence of the divine in our lives. Fear and its confusion are healed by that power of faith and love. Infinite, unconditional love brings harmony and wholeness to our lives. And that you can count on. Let's take this to prayer. And so on this Mother's Day, we think of the aspect of God as the Divine Mother, as unconditional love that is manifesting itself in the world and in our lives. It is everywhere present. And so as we let go and let God, we allow ourselves to let go of whatever is going on in our lives, whatever we are fearful of at this moment, and we nestle into that loving arms of the Divine Mother. Here we are safe. Here we are blessed. Here we know that we are created from love and divine wisdom and peace. We know that we are whole. We know that all of life is for the good. And so we look every situation in the face. We look our fears in the face and we see through them, through that veil, to the spiritual truth underneath, to see that divine promise of hope and joy and freedom. We know that in this moment, we are one with God. We are one with all that is. And that divine urge to be something greater, to go beyond our comfort zone, to be something more wonderful and share it with the world, it is that divine within us seeking to express itself in us and through us and as us in the unique way that we and only we can express it in the world. And so the fear dissolves, just as the darkness dissolves when the light enters the room with the dawn of a new day. And it is good. And that infinite love within us, we share it with the world. We spread it around. We see that divine love and peace present within our families. And we let go of smallness. We let go of fear. We let go of our position. And we stand strong in who we are, but we also accept and love each person as who they are and come into that we space of something greater, that synergy of being together as a couple and as a family, going beyond what we could do on our own. And we plant those seeds of love and peace in our spiritual community here in the Center for Spiritual Living Tahoe-Truckee. And we know that as we walk with faith and not by sight, that it is all growing. And we know that this center is an expression of the divine. We know that good things are unfolding right here and right now as lives are transformed. Good is revealed. We open our hearts and minds and arms to love and embrace all, to serve with love while awakening to the one together. We transform our community, and each person who is touched by our words, by our actions, and by this elevating of the collective consciousness to a higher level, to know that it is all God and it is all good. And we plant those seeds of love and peace in our leaders. Our leaders that are in our businesses, that are in our government locally, at the state level, and the national level, and the international level. And we know that any fear that anything could last other than that unconditional divine love is temporary. We know that love is stronger than anything else in the world, and it is what endures. And so we trust and let go, and we do what is our part to lift up and to face our fear and to take a stand for love and for peace. And as we do, we see those who stand up with us, and we connect hand in hand, arm in arm, and that love heals and loves the world and each soul that is here. I am thankful for all the mothers of the world that remind us of this unconditional love that is there at the beginning of each life on this earth, in our birth, and as we go through life, a safe place to touch back. And as our mothers pass on, we are the parents, the mothers for the next generation. And they love us as we move forward. It is that love that connects us, that heals us, that guides us, that is the power and presence of God right here and right now and in all places and in all things. I am so grateful to know this, to experience it, to share it right here and right now. It is real. It is the path to freedom. And together we say, and so it is. And so I would like to invite Angelika back for one more song that is a one that just came to her this morning as a perfect song. Well, it's one of her old songs, but it was one that just is perfect for this morning. So, Angelika?
Hi. So this is by Jaya. She's a Kirtan artist, and I actually didn't know the song. I just learned it last night in the middle of the night because I felt it was perfect. And in the song, I would speak some Sanskrit words. It's a prayer, and it says "Lokaha samastaha sukhinu bhavantu," and the meaning is. I'm getting the unstable internet sign here. I hope you can still hear me. The meaning is, may all beings in all worlds everywhere be happy and free and have what they need. So let's use this song as a statement. It's a very powerful statement when we make it from our heart. Now is the time when I let go of my fears, inhibitions and sense of dread. When I give up control and I let you hold me with no resistance in my soul. Now is the time when I let go of my fears, inhibitions and sense of dread. When I give up control and let you hold me with no resistance in my soul. This is the day when I throw it all away into the fire of the all-loving one. Now I have just what I need to be free, to feel who I really am. Sing this with me or speak it in your heart. This is the day when I throw it all away into the fire of the all-loving one. Now I have just what I need to be free, to feel who I really am. Here is the place where I fall into grace and release into the sweetness of your love. I surrender. I remember the light and the beauty that I am. Here is the place where I fall into grace and release into the sweetness of your love. I surrender. I remember the light and the beauty that I am. Lokaha samastaha sukhinu bhavantu. Lokaha samastaha sukhinu bhavantu. May all beings be happy and free. in peace. May all beings be happy and free. May all beings live in peace. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu.
Thank you, Angelika.
Thank you.
If you ever have any doubts that there's one mind working through all of us, I think some of the collaboration that happens with the music and always with Angelika is just reminds me to trust and let go. Well, now is our prosperity time. And at CSL Tahoe-Truckee, we know that God is our infinite source for our center and for each of us as individuals. And your donations to our center are one way that you can support our vision of embracing all and serving with love while awakening to the one. Our spiritual community is excited about supporting spiritual transformation in the world as we come back from the COVID pandemic, and we're sharing those science of mind principles and the experiences of love and wholeness with all of life. So it takes funding to support our center and our staff and all of our activities and letting the world know who we are. So it's generous, the support from the generous donations from people like you that keep us going and make it all possible. So thank you. If you would hold your offering over your heart and repeat with me our prosperity affirmation. I gratefully and joyfully share my offering, which flows from God, my infinite source. My gift blesses this center and all who are guided, healed, and empowered by its activities. All I share with life returns to me blessed and multiplied. And so it is.
I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed.
And so as we give thanks for these offerings of our time, talent, and treasure, we know that it is God in action, and we are grateful for the abundance in all forms, all good things here in our center and all throughout our lives. Thank you, Father, Mother, God, and so it is. Amen. Okay. Well, we have, I want to welcome all the guests that are here. We have some friends that we haven't seen for a while, so it's a great thank you for spending your Mother's Day here with us and bringing some of that newerness of life with you, with Jovi. And I also want to thank our hospitality. So we got double goodness today with both Shirley Nelson and Sue Pipel brought some goodies. So, but it's Mother's Day, so we're celebrating. What do you want to do when you're a mother? You share the fruits of your labor in your kitchen, right? And so, but right after service today, we'll have our hospitality time when you can enjoy that, and also if you'll stay online, you can connect with everyone there. You'll find our announcements and the Zoom link on the Constant Contact in our newsletter, Instagram page now, our web page, Facebook page, and Savannah's got all of these things, wonderful things working together now. The video recordings of the Sunday service and a shortened version of the talk only are there on Mondays, usually on the YouTube channel, or you can access that from the website. And our updated website is Tahoe-CSL.org. All right. Now next week, I'm zipping through these, Savannah. So next week, our Sunday service, May 15th, will be in person and on Zoom. We'll be continuing May's CSL theme, which is Living Everyday Wonder Emotions. And the talk will be entitled, If You're Happy and You Know It. I'll be speaking here along with Practitioner Brenda Haldorn, and our musician will be Kayliani. And she's a new person that, I don't know if you've heard her before. Yeah, so she'll be here joining us, new to me, but wonderful. We have Adopt a Highway, our first 2022 CSL monthly Adopt a Highway cleanup along a section, about a mile of Highway 267 north of Kings Beach, takes place on May 21st this year from 9:30 to noon. And this year Caltrans is giving us a stipend for doing this work, yay! But they're also requiring every participant complete an online safety training course before they participate. So please contact Nancy O'Neill or the CSL office for information on that training link. It's online. It takes about half an hour or less. And we need 2 or 3 more people to make sure we've got a really good team that are out there. 9 to 12? Oh, you want it as 9? Okay, good. 9 o'clock. Okay. Well, we'll start at 9, and the more people we have, the less time it will take. So start at 9. Now, it's only 2 weeks until Reverend Dr. Melissa Phillips and Reverend Z. Egloff will be here in person at CSL Tahoe-Truckee to provide the music and the inspirational message on Sunday morning, May 22nd. And Melissa and Z's talk is called Who You Gonna Call? And it's going to be a great one, as it always is with them. They'll be singing and rocking and keeping us in stitches, probably laughing away. But that afternoon, they're going to be presenting a workshop from noon to 2 called Truth and Love Communication. It's based on the teachings of Dr. John Sarno and about mind-body healings, especially in the area of pain. Many people, including Melissa and Z, have experienced healings from chronic pain, chronic fatigue syndrome, and migraine headaches, all kinds of things based on these teachings. And this is really the teachings of science of mind applied into that mind-body healing area. So I encourage you to sign up for for those tickets now. It's only a $25 investment, so invite all of your friends. It's a great way to have people learn about our center and maybe want to come back for something more. There's a video online that Melissa and Z put together for us. They were on vacation, but it's still a wonderful video. And it's on social media pages, Instagram, Facebook. We really are getting this out there. Facebook, our website. But if everyone here invited 2 or 3 friends or family members, we could fill this room, and it would be a great success in so many ways. So please do that and come get healed. We have a CSL e-bike group that is starting this summer, and the first outing is on May 24th. They are going to be meeting this first time at the Reno de Monte Ranch Trail. And so bring a lunch or a snack to, it's starting at 11 o'clock on that Tuesday. So bring a lunch or snack to eat at the park there. And they're meeting at the Starbucks parking lot. So there's going to be more information in the newsletter this week and on the webpage. So each week it'll be different, so you need to check it out. Also starting on Tuesday, May 24th, is the class called E Squared, 9 Do-It-Yourself Energy Experiments that Prove Your Thoughts Create Reality. It'll be taught by Brenda Haldorn. She's facilitating this 10-week class and runs from 6 to 8 each night. And to have the best experience, you're going to want to try and join in person, but we are going to be accommodating some people on a hybrid model as well if you really just can't get here except on Zoom. And the center and Brenda have generously are offering this class for $100 for the 10 weeks, so that's really a good deal, and plus a love offering. And so reserve your spot and sign up today. And she's already got a second class filled in Carson City, so this is her second one. So we know that it'll be sold out, hopefully. And then Saturday, June 4th, if you like horses or just want to have involved in a play workshop or play shop, as Reverend Karen Lindsley calls it, she's joined by Fran Molina, who is an equine specialist, and Melinda Backwell, who is a leadership coach. And they are going to be on a ranch in Washoe Valley for their play shop that is called From Ick to Joy. And you don't have to ride the horses if you don't want to, but you'll still have a great time and learn some skills that you can use for the rest of your life. And then we also have our ongoing drop-in classes that are also wonderful. Chris Worcester's Tai Chi classes on vacation this month until June, since he's on vacation. And Mary McEnany and Penny Schuller's online meditation Thursday evening starting at 4:30. And then 5 o'clock for the meditation is happening online. And Sue Pipel's book study, A Course of Love, is on Friday evenings at 6:30. So that group has been meeting for a long time, and so there's a lot of deep sharing but you're free to drop in. Okay, this is our time to welcome and bless our children. And so, and she's being a child and being on her way. But we can bless her and all the other children. So if you would join me in reading along. We see you, we hear you, we love you. You are a gift from God, and so it is. So our practitioners are here. So if you need prayer today or during the week, please call on our practitioners. We have Michael Brandman was the practitioner of the day. Nancy O'Neill is here as well. And I'm a practitioner online. I think we have Carol Delbon is here. All right. And so you can do a request in the chat or give a call. That we also have a list of the practitioners and their phone numbers here in the sanctuary if you would like that. But we know that prayer works, and they can be that person to listen, that sounding board, if that's what you need as well. So, okay, so we're going to come up with our affirmation followed by our closing song. And we have the words for the song are on a slide, so maybe you can show that while we're singing, Savannah, when we get to the song. But right now we're going to come to our affirmation first, and we can make a circle. Yeah, there we go. There it is. Oh, yeah. Okay. Oh. Okay. Oh, Jovi and Tina are here. Want to join the circle? More? All right. Okay. If you would repeat after me, I face my fears through courage, strength, and faith. And we're ready. So we need the words and Angelika.
You are the heart, you are the hands, you are the voice of spirit on earth, and who you are, and all you do is a blessing to the world. We are the heart, we are the hands, we are the voice of spirit on earth, and who we are, and all we do is a blessing to the world. You are the heart, you are the hands, we are the heart, we are the hands. I am the heart, I am the hands, we're a blessing